Absolutely. I'm Dave Kieser with Kieser Consulting Group. We're engineers, landscape architects, and historic preservationists. And we have been engaged by St. Paul's AME Church, historic AME Church, as a historic preservation consultant for the renovation of the church with regard to windows, roofing, tuck pointing, digging into the history a little bit of the significance of St. Paul AME Church in the history of both Lexington and Kentucky and in the Midwest and the South. And just kind of trying to find grant money is a very important item. And so we're also kind of the grant coordinators for the renovations that we've outlined in the feasibility study. I'll talk about that a little bit more. We found some very interesting items in the building the several times we were down there. First off, we were looking at the envelope of the building, which is the outside of the building, and was just trying to get an overall survey of the condition of the structure. But when we came and visited on the inside, we were able to tour the sanctuary of the church, as well as the narthex and the offices and the basement of the building. But one of the main and most interesting things was a secret room, of which is accessible behind the altar area, and which I understand was used as part of the Underground Railroad to hide enslaved persons on their way to freedom into the North. And so that was very, very exciting to see an Underground Railroad feature in a structure that is still intact and has original features within the room. We also found on a second tour, after climbing into the bell tower area, we found a skeleton key, one of the original skeleton keys to the church, that we have dated back to the 1840s. And we thought it might be interesting to see if the actual skeleton key fit the door to the secret room. And absolutely it did. So it was really exciting to find a key artifact within the church in the bell tower of a key that actually fit some of the door, fit the door to the secret room that was part of the Underground Railroad. So who knows what else is in the bell tower that could be exciting, as far as the artifact and the history of the actual church itself. So it was very exciting. One of the really interesting features that we found up in the skeleton part of the attic of the main church structure, which is where you have the trusses and the beams and the columns area for the church, of which appears to be made of mahogany, which is quite interesting because mahogany primarily in the 1820s and 30s came from Michigan. So that was very exciting to see that the skeleton part of the church and the upper part of the attic area was made of mahogany. We also found somewhat of a catwalk that goes across the top of the church that could also have been used, as part of the Underground Railroad to hide folks before they would be on their way to freedom into the North. So that was very interesting, and it's all attached. It's all attached where they could come down. We think there's a fake wall. Well, there is a wall there, but we think there's a fake wall adjacent to, or a room, and then a fake wall adjacent to the secret room where people could have dropped down in to the secret room and went downstairs and caught a wagon, to the north. So very exciting features in the church. and it's almost like a historical hunt when we're down there of what new and exciting things we could find in the church and how it relates back to history of the church and the Underground Railroad. It's very, very exciting. The Underground Railroad is always, talked about with regard to broad-faced perspectives, but when you have a facility that is so prominent in a community, and it's still an active church, and it's got all these cool secret passages, it really brings the Underground Railroad to life. It's very exciting to be a part of, and it's very exciting to be a part of the project. That we have a real piece of history that is still being utilized as a vibrant church in the Lexington community today. So, the project that we're currently looking at for the St. Paul's AME Church is to basically stabilize the church as far as the foundation, and then do tuck pointing in the brick, do some window repair, and then replace the roofing system. And actually, the bell tower, the current bell tower has the old slate roof still on it. And so we want to replace that with slate to keep it within the historical character and nature of the original structure. So we're trying to get grants to stabilize the structure as far as fixing the foundation. We've got some drainage issues on the northeast part of the building where it has washed out some of the foundation. So we want to definitely stabilize the foundation. We want to tuck point the brick in areas. Unfortunately, the brick has been painted, and so we'll have to stabilize some of that masonry and some of the mortar underneath to make sure that the masonry part of the building is stabilized as well. And then the roofing system is always a very important part, because we don't want water coming in and having water damage within the interior of the structure. We can tell there's been severe settling within part of the building, especially in the secret room. We have separation under the window sill of greater than about greater than probably 3/4 of an inch. So that signifies severe settling on that side of the building. So that's why we really have to stabilize the and that's right in the area where we have to really stabilize the foundation. So we'll have to do exterior improvements first, and then concentrate on the interior. But overall, overall, it seems like the superstructure of the church is in really good shape, and we just want to kind of button things up to make it last another 200 years. So that's but federal grants are an important part of that, and we're going to pursue all options in terms of federal and private grants to help with these improvements. As churches and smaller agencies have a hard time with cash flow and budgets. It's always important that if you qualify for these federal grants, it's always important to pursue those as a result of trying to do the bigger improvements, because when you're talking about $500,000 to $1 million, it's very important that we utilize those grants to the highest and best use while they're available. So anyway, the original church that was constructed in the 1820s was located on the church. Yeah, it was part of the old blacksmith shop. And we think that part of the settling issue is the fact that the existing structure was built on part of the foundation of the 18 teens and early 1820s blacksmith shop that was originally used as the first church for St. Paul's. And we feel like that there's some crossover on the existing structure being built on the old structure, and that's where we think some of the settling has occurred. So if you look in the basement itself, when I was touring it with a couple of the trustees, there is one wall that's exposed within the kitchen area that is said to be part of the foundation of the old church. So that's pretty exciting that there's still some signs of archaeological remnants of that structure as well. So pretty interesting.